Now, do these come under this very frightening threat or not? We have to probably believe in some sort of difference between the two. If denial is out of ignorance, is out of childishness, is out of lack of knowledge, it would be different from if it is out of arrogance, self-centeredness. And of course, what actually destroys human soul is self-centeredness. If we are always thinking about ourselves, then the self itself is corroded and destroyed. So now, when the messengers come and they relate to you my ayats, those who react in this way, كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا عَنْهَا, they deny my verses and they become arrogant towards it. أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ, these are the people of the fire. هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ, they will be there forever. Now, when we say fire, of course, we mean a place where there's plenty of fire. It doesn't mean that they live in fire. In that sense, that's literally they live in fire, because the descriptions that we have about hell is that although it's just like a planet covered with a ring of fire, so everything is hot in that, but it's not the case that everyone and at all times they live in fire. It is called nar, fire, because of the extreme heat which is generated there by abundance of fire which is there, which we don't know what is the origin of that fire, how it comes. Is it due to sort of geological things, or fire is encircling it as certain things encircle certain planets? We don't know what is it, but they will go there. They will go and live there. And in addition to that, hum fiha khalidun, they will be there forever. Now, this concept of khulud, or eternity in hell, has actually festered many religious people, including the exegetes. That's what's the meaning of this khulud, why there is khulud, why there should be khulud. Is it contrary to mercy of God or not? Is it contrary to justice or not contrary to justice? And that's why we see not only the exegetes have tried to somehow tackle this issue of khulud or eternity. Also, we hear that, for example, companions of Imams alayhimus salam, they ask them that why people should remain in hell forever. Why? What's the reason for it? And sometimes, for example, they ask, well, we live a very short life, 60 years, 70 years, I mean maximum 100 years, little bit more, little bit less. Now, and we may be quite arrogant, we may do lots of wrong things, lots of bad things in that 100 years, but should we eternally be punished for that very short period? I mean, you can imagine 100 years compared to eternity is just nothing, is absolutely zero.
Right.
So in absolutely that zero time, or very little time, you have committed certain things which would bring eternal damnation or eternal punishment in hell. So the concept is a very uncomfortable concept, so to speak. For Muslims, it has been uncomfortable since past. For Christians, it has been uncomfortable since past. I mean, for everyone who just thinks about the consequences of one's action and the sort of comparability of the reward and punishment to the act. How do we measure this? Now, one question was put to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam.
There's a common belief in terms of eternity in hell for Christians and also for Muslims. Muslims, yes, and Christians as well.
Well,
they will be in hell forever, in Bible and
yes,
scriptures.
I mean, certainly Christian theologians today may have different interpretations of that, but it is mentioned, the same thing as it's mentioned in the Quran, it's mentioned in the Bible as well, because this is one religion, isn't it? It's
right.
not different. مَا يُغَالَ لَكَ إلا ما قد قيل للرسل من قبلك. Nothing is said to you but what was said to the messengers before you.
Right.
So there shouldn't be, and there couldn't be any difference in this. Even if there is a difference, we would judge it by the criterion, which is the Quran.
Right.
Quran is Furqan for other books as well. Is the benchmark. Muhaymin, as the Quran uses it, that this book is muhaymin over other books. It means this is a benchmark by which you judge the content of other books as well. Of course, there are many statements, many chapters in both Old and New Testament which are quite conformant with the Quran, and we accept them because Quran actually approves and confirms them. They conform with the Quran. So in that sense, we would say this is a divine revelation. However, in those occasions or in those instances where there isn't there's not conformity, then of course we will say that this is the benchmark, this is the muhaymin, and we judge those scriptures with this one.
Right.
Now, I was saying,
about
the question was put to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, that how is it possible that a person disobeys for a certain period of time, and then at the end of the day, what he finds is eternal punishment. Now, the answer, of course, was a sort of convincing answer, and the answer was that the reason is, if this man was going to live forever, he was going to disobey forever. And that's, of course, people cannot live forever, and therefore that attitude of disobedience. Now, if we look into this hadith a bit deeper, we feel that yes, a personality is formed, is shaped around individuals, which that personality is their eternal damnation. Eternal damnation comes from us, not from anyone else. And that personality makes the person to live in hell forever. As we have in many verses of the Quran, قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم ولا يمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم. That your damnation, your bad omen, is with you. It's you who have made this bad omen or damnation for yourself. So this was one answer. However, the question comes, what if this personality, due to punishment of hell, goes away? What happens then? Are these people to be in hell forever again? Now here we have to ask the question about the whole philosophy of hell. Why the hell is there? Why some people are deported to that area, which is the area deplete of mercy, deplete of any response from God to these people? Why people are sent there? Now, if you ask about this philosophy, apparently the philosophy is that very harsh and hard situation is to break that arrogant personality. And therefore we can say that as soon as this encircling personal attitude and personal quality breaks away, and people become open to mercy of God, because that personality would not allow mercy of God to reach people. So as soon as that is broken, then the people should come out of hell.
Any traditions, or is this an analogy in terms of that they will be forgiven and they return back as soon as they are punished, that duration of punishment, they fulfill that and they come back to heaven?
Yeah, but I will come to that. But before coming to that, we have to ask ourselves: is this not contrary to these verses?
Yes, that's why I wanted to get at. I mean, if it's be so, then the question of eternal punishment, what's the reality of it? That's
right. So we have to see if these very categorical statements here, hum fiha khalidun, they are there forever, would allow any chance that yes, some people may come out of hell. Now, there are certain verses in the Quran which actually imply that this eternal stay in hell is not really a general rule. Not everyone would stay for eternity there. If we say that actually no one would stay
Right.
in hell, we can say that yes, generally we cannot have this very sweeping judgment that anyone who enters hell is going to stay there forever. Now let me first mention a couple of verses from the Quran, and then we move into traditions to see what they say about this issue. In Sunni and in Shia traditions, just before mentioning the verses, in Sunni and in Shia traditions, there are many traditions talking about people coming out of the hell. Coming out of the hell. And some traditions even imply that very few would eventually be eternal there. And this, they are eternal there, hinges or depends on whether they change their personality or not. Now, let's look at the verses first. In Surah Hud, Allah talks about people going to hell and people going to paradise, remaining there forever, except if Allah wishes.
Right.
Except if Allah wishes.
What's the worst number? If
verses number 105 to 108 in Surah Hud. What it says is that أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يوم يأتي لا تكلم نفس إلا بإذنه فمنهم شقي وسعيد. The day comes when no soul will ever speak without his permission, and on that day some are miserable, some are prosperous, some are successful. فمنهم شقي وسعيد. فأما الذين شقوا ففي النار. Those who are miserable, they will go to fire, or that place which is surrounded by fire. لهم فيها زفير وشهيق خالدين فيها ما دامت السماوات والأرض. They will be there eternally for as long as the heavens and earth exist, which they exist forever, of course, the heaven and earth of the Qiyamah. إلا ما شاء ربك, with the exception of what is excluded with the will of your Lord. ما شاء ربك. إن ربك فعال لما يريد. Your Lord can do whatever he wishes. وأما الذين سعدوا, those who are successful, ففي الجنة, they will be in paradise. خالدين فيها ما دامت السماوات والأرض. They will be in there as long as heavens and earth exist. إلا ما شاء ربك, unless your Lord wishes. عطاء غير مجدود. عطاء غير مجدود. This is a gift which has no end, with no cutting, and always provided sort of gift. This is for them. Now, if we think about these verses, actually both eternity in hell and eternity in paradise have been excluded by the will of God.
Right.
There's an exception, unless your God wills. And therefore some people say, well, this is actually implying nothing. It just says that will of God, power of God doesn't go anywhere. He has the power to bring people out of hell and to bring people out of paradise, but we know that he doesn't do it. Because we know that anyone entering paradise never comes out of it. So, but here it says, إِلَّا مَا شَاءَ رَبُّكَ. It just wants to imply the power of God. And in the same way in hell. However, just there's a subtle difference here. The subtle difference is that at the end of the sentence about paradise, it says this is a gift which is not going to be cut off. That means your Lord will never wish them to come out. Will never wish to come out. However, about people of hell, it says, إِنَّ رَبَّكَ فَعَالٌ لِمَا يُرِيدُ. It doesn't say, for example, عَذَابٌ غَيْرُ مَجْذُوذ. This is an azab which is not going to be cut off. It says, your Lord can do whatever he wishes. That means there's a difference here. Yes, people may come out of hell, but they never come out of paradise.
Right. Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Sheikh. It was quite interesting and very important sort of reality of our belief system, because many of the verses tend to indicate the eternal azab of those who are the wrongdoers. And at the same time, if I may remind our viewers about the sessions which you gave on Ma'ad, on the Day of Judgment, and you pointed out to that there's a continuous questioning of those who are in Barzakh and also in Hell, till they get rid of the takabbur which they have. And once that is refined, once that is really that takabbur gotten rid of them, then they will be sent to paradise. Thank you, Sheikh, and we will hope to continue on this in our next program as well. I hope that you all stay with us as well for next week. We looked at two things here, verse number 35, which point out to taqwa and islah. Sheikh pointed out that taqwa, God consciousness, is more of a holding, not doing, and islah is of a doing, where one should do good deeds and acts. And indeed for them is no khawf, which is fear, and no sorrow, sadness for them in this world and also hereafter. The next verse, which was quite of interesting reality, which is those who lie or those who deny the ayat, the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and are arrogant, they will be in hellfire forever. So this forever part was discussed, also pointing out to verses from Surah Hud, verse number 105 to 108, which talked about illa masha'Allah, except that Allah wishes that they will not be in the hellfire. We will continue on this very theme, which is chapter 7, but the theme of punishment eternally in our next program. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next week again. Goodbye. Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah, Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah, Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah. Allah ya Hannan, Allah ya Dayyan, Allah ya Hannan, Allah ya Subhan. Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah, Allah subhanallah. Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah, Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah, Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah, Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah. Allah ya Hannan, Allah ya Dayyan, Allah ya Hannan, Allah ya Subhan. Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah, Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah. Allah ya Burhan, Allah ya Sultan, Allah ya Ghufran, Allah ya Subhan, Allah ya Subhan. Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah, Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah. Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah, Allah subhanallah, Allah hamdan lillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa bihi nasta'een, wa huwa khairu nasirin wa mu'een, wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Fragrance of Inspiration, a program dedicated to the Quranic exegesis. And in this program we are looking at the tafsir or interpretation of chapter of Araf, which is chapter number 7. and as informed to us by Sheikh Dr. Bahmanpour, who is doing the tafsir of this chapter, that it's an all-comprehensive chapter. Sheikh Dr. Bahmanpour is in charge of the research at the Islamic Center and also the deputy head of the Islamic Center, London. Thank you very much, Sheikh, for giving us the opportunity to be in your service.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and my greetings to all the viewers.
Thank you, Sheikh. If you may recall, we were looking at verse number 35 and 36 onwards, which was the eternal punishment of God for those who trespass the sayings, the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we looked at whether this is eternal. And Shaykh also pointed out two very beautiful hadiths from our sixth Imam, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, that when the companions asked that how can it be possible that a person who acts for a limited period of time be punished for eternal period, and Shaykh said on this basis, on the hadith, that the limited period that the person is acting upon is really, if he would have given the opportunity to live eternally, he would have lived in an eternal state of not obeying God. So therefore that means that if he's put in that eternal punishment, it makes sense as well. However, life doesn't end, as Shaykh pointed out in our previous programs as well, when we were doing the Ma'ad Shanasi, the description of the hereafter, the eschatology, in which it is a continuous, where in barzakh and in the hereafter, and in the hereafter meaning that a person, when he is in hell, the refining period continues. Sheikh, I'll stop here and then let you take over in terms of highlighting, or at least giving those important aspects of this verse, or the phenomena of eternal punishment and the phenomena of eternal bliss, for those who will be in paradise for eternally, for those who will be in hell eternally.
Yes, thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As we were discussing in our last session, we said that there are several verses in the Quran which talk about eternality of people in the hell. Well, eternality of people in paradise is not a problem, certainly, because all of us would expect that when Allah gives someone with that very highly regarded reward, then he's not going to get it back from them. So there's no problem of justice there, because of course due to justice we do not deserve to be in paradise forever. But there comes the problem, the concept of mercy, the concept of generosity of God, that because of his mercy, because of his generosity, is the status of people in paradise eternal. They are going to stay there forever. However, when it comes to hell, these concepts do not work. You may say because of wrath of God they are going to be there forever. But why God should have wrath on them if they have committed limited period of disobedience, for example? So we analyzed verses of the Quran. We said that in several verses there is the idea of eternity in hell, hum fiha khalidun. In certain verses of the Quran, there is a sort of leeway for it. There is a sort of alleviation of this very general ruling.
Which you pointed out to verse number 105 to 108 of Surah Hud.
That's right.
Which tends to say,
which said خالدين فيها إلا ما دامت السماوات والأرض إلا ما شاء ربك, unless your Lord wills. Now we have another verse in Surah An'am actually, which again talks about people being eternal in hell except if God wills otherwise, contrary.
Which verse is this?
It's verse number 128 in Surah An'am. قال النار مثواكم خالدين فيها إلا ما شاء الله إن ربك حكيم عليم. They will be. He tells to the wrongdoers, to the oppressors, that the hell will be your place of abode. النار مثواكم خالدين فيها. You will be there forever illa masha'Allah, except if God wills otherwise. That means you will come out. If God wills otherwise, you will come out. Inna rabbaka hakimun alim. Your Lord is wise and knowledgeable. Now, one of the contemporary exegetes, the late Ayatollah Qurashi, he says in his tafsir that the very tag which comes at the end of this verse, Inna rabbaka hakimun alim, shows that God is going to do it. He's wise, he's knowledgeable. So because he has said that except if I will, and I'm wise and knowledgeable, it means that certain people will be included in that wisdom and knowledge, in a sense that they will be recognized as being purified after all those years of punishment, or thousands of years of punishment. Now, if we look into this from a rational point of view, we would say that this arrogance which we take with ourselves to the next world, and that arrogance is the main thing, or the main factor which would bar us from worshipping God. This arrogance will be broken by the punishments of the hell. As soon as it's broken, as soon as the person is ready to come out, he will come out. And this actually is alluded in a different way in verses number 21 to 23 of Surah Naba. Inna jahannama kanat mirsada. The hell lies in ambush. لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا, which is an abode for the transgressors, for taghin. لَابِثِينَ فِيهَا أَحْقَابًا. They are going to stay there for long times. Now here again, for long times, would allude, it may of course imply eternity, but it may also imply that although no matter how long they are going to stay there, certainly some of them will come out. Now this some of them is very important.
Right.
When we come to these verses, we certainly want to know what did the Imams of Ahlul Bayt said about these verses.
Right.
Of course, because we don't have the knowledge of Ta'wil, they have the knowledge of Ta'wil. We are just guessing by analyzing these verses, going through here and there to see what we can find about this eternity. Now, in the explanation of the verse قال النار مثواكم خالدين فيها إلا ما شاء الله, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq says that هذه في الذين يخرجون من النار. This is about those who come out of hell. So we understand that yes, there are certain people who will come out of hell. They are not going to be eternal in that, of course, terrible place. And actually, Imam Al-Kadhim alayhi salam says, explaining this verse, that يَدْخُلُونَ النَّارَ بِذُنُوبِهِمْ وَيَخْرُجُونَ بِعَفْوِ اللَّهِ. They enter hell because of their sins, and they come out because of mercy, because of forgiveness of Allah, بِعَفْوِ اللَّهِ, because He would forgive them, and that forgiveness is actually applicable to them, provided they're open, they actually leave their self-centeredness. So, all in all, what we can say is, although we do not probably do not pay attention to what some of the companions have said, that سَيَأْتِي عَلَى جَهَنَّمَ يَوْمٌ لَا يَبْغَى فِيهَا أَحَدٌ. There will come a day to hell in which no one would remain in it. It is very extreme. This is from one of the Sahaba. I have not mentioned his name here. It's not from the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Right.
So one of the exegetes from Sahaba. سَيَأْتِي عَلَى جَهَنَّمَ يَوْمٌ لَا يَبْغَى فِيهَا أَحَدٌ. A day will come, will pass to hell in which no one is there. Now, this is very extreme. This is an opinion, of course. On the other hand, we have all those traditions, and many traditions from the Prophet, peace be on him, and from his companions, that certainly certain people will come out of hell at the end of the day. We can say that, based on certain traditions, only an exceptional group of people would remain there, people and jinn, of course, when we talk about people and jinn.
Right.
And these are those who the